The sun was just dipping behind the horizon when Marcus, a retired Army veteran, slowly made his way down Main Street. He was tired, worn, and invisible to most passers-by, but not to the world of TikTok, apparently. A young influencer, busy filming for his latest stunt, spotted Marcus and, without a second thought, slapped him on the shoulder while shouting for the camera. "Hey, old man, check this out." The slap echoed unnaturally loud against the quiet street. Marcus staggered but didn't fall. He looked at the young man, not with anger, but with a quiet, weary sadness. At that moment, 40 bikers, part of a local veterans support group, revved their engines just a block away. They had seen the entire interaction from the cafe across the street. They were rough, intimidating, and fiercely loyal, but Marcus had no idea they were watching. The TikToker laughed, thinking it was all part of his viral content. But as he turned to film Marcus reacting, the bikers roared into view, surrounding the young man. The air was tense. It felt like something was about to snap. Marcus raised his hands, trying to calm both parties. "Stop," he said softly. "This isn't who any of us need to be." The young man froze. For the first time, he noticed Marcus not as a prop for a video, but as a human being. A man who had seen more hardship than most could imagine. Something shifted in him, a jolt of guilt that cut deeper than any slap could. Then, something unexpected happened. One of the bikers, a gentle giant named Henry, stepped forward and handed Marcus a small box. "You taught us courage in the field, sir," he said. "But today, you taught us patience and forgiveness." Inside the box were letters from veterans who had received help from Marcus over the years, a reminder that even in quiet, unnoticed ways he had made a lasting impact. The TikToker, overwhelmed by the collective gaze of 40 hardened bikers and the quiet dignity of Marcus, finally lowered his camera. His bravado melted into embarrassment and reflection. He apologized, not just to Marcus, but to every human he had ever dismissed in the name of entertainment. Marcus smiled gently, resting a hand on the young man's shoulder. "It's never too late to do the right thing," he said. "Remember that." The bikers, seeing the tension dissolve, started clapping, not in celebration of revenge, but in honor of empathy. It was a moment of shared humanity that no social media view could capture. A reminder that true strength isn't measured in likes or bravado. It's measured in kindness, selflessness, and the courage to respect others. By the time the sun had fully set, the young TikToker had deleted the video, vowed to change his content, and promised to use his platform for something meaningful. Marcus walked home slower than before, but lighter, because sometimes the smallest acts of compassion ripple farther than any slap or shout ever could. And the 40 bikers? They rode off into the night, not seeking fame, but carrying the quiet pride of knowing they had protected more than a man. They had preserved the dignity of humanity itself. The next morning, the town buzzed with whispers about what had happened the night before. Marcus sat on his porch, sipping coffee, the cool morning breeze brushing his weathered face. He watched children chasing each other down the street, the world moving on as if nothing had happened. But for him, something had shifted. Meanwhile, the young TikToker, whose name was Ryan, sat in his apartment staring at a blank screen. He had uploaded hundreds of videos chasing likes, but none felt like this moment. The guilt, the shame, and now, the awakening of something he hadn't realized was missing. Empathy. He picked up his phone and dialed a number he hadn't called in years, the number of a local veterans charity. He told them about Marcus, about the slap, and about the bikers who had intervened. And then he offered something completely unexpected, to dedicate his platform to telling real stories of courage, sacrifice, and humanity. Across town, Marcus received a call. Henry's voice was warm on the other end. "Marcus, he wants to help. He wants to tell your story. He said he wants to show the world what it means to honor someone's life, not exploit it." Marcus paused. He wasn't sure if the world needed another social media story. But then he thought about the little victories, the moments when kindness quietly spreads without anyone noticing. And he realized something. If Ryan could learn from this, maybe the world could too. Days later, Ryan arrived at the small veterans center, where Marcus spent part of his mornings helping others. Nervously, he held a camera, not for pranks, but to document the stories of real heroes, men and women who had served, fought, and healed in silence. Marcus guided him gently, sharing memories that were raw, honest, and human. The 40 bikers returned occasionally, not as enforcers but as supporters. They helped set up chairs, brought coffee, and even shared their own stories of loss and redemption. Slowly, a community grew around Marcus and Ryan, one rooted in empathy, respect, and the quiet understanding that humanity thrives when people lift each other up. And somewhere along the way, Ryan learned the most important lesson. The most viral moments aren't the ones that shock or humiliate. They're the ones that inspire, heal, and remind us that every person has value. Months later, the video Ryan finally released wasn't flashy, didn't feature pranks or stunts, and it certainly wasn't designed to go viral in the typical sense, but it did something even more powerful. It made viewers pause, reflect, and recognize the power of kindness. Comments poured in from across the USA, the UK, and Canada. People shared their own stories of gratitude, compassion, and small acts of courage. Marcus never sought fame, and Ryan had never imagined he'd find purpose in empathy. But together, they created something timeless, a ripple of humanity that proved one moment of restraint, one act of courage, and one choice to do what's right can change more lives than anyone could ever predict. As Marcus watched Ryan set up his camera one last time, he smiled, whispering to himself, "It only takes one person to remind the world what it means to care." And in that quiet street, under the warm glow of the morning sun, a lesson unfolded that no social media algorithm could ever measure. Kindness is contagious, and its impact lasts far longer than any slap, stunt, or viral video ever